Strip the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners. Tech cursive on the jet.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is just a tick into Saturday. It was Friday night. It's now Saturday morning, about just a little bit past midnight. We're here to break down the Celtics 138-110 beatdown, mollywhopping, as Eddie House kept calling it on the post game today, of the Dallas Mavericks. Celtics go in there and really take care of business. Tatum, the high scorer, 32 points, 8 rebounds. It was pretty much a business, more just taking care of business, basically, right? I feel like that it's getting like almost like a cliche. I might have to fire up a "Taking Care of Business" like the song, like a highlight reel of the Celtics or something like that. But anyway,
I dig that.
Yeah, but anyway, so we're gonna break that game down for you. Before we do that, I'm your host, Dugouts. With me, as always, King Chuddy. How you doing tonight, Chuddy?
Doing well. Busy night for the Chudster over here. A lot of travel, flying out of Boston. I'm in Richmond right now. Just landed. Got to watch the game on a slight delay and did not get the pleasure of Eddie House on the post game or Scal and Mike. I was stuck with Ryan Rucco and Richard Jefferson at ESPN. But the pod does not sleep. We are here. Wherever we are, we watch the game. We're ready to record and another beautiful win. So I'm doing great.
Yeah, shout out Chuddy. We had the picture tweeted from the @Chuddy Corner account. Chuddy in the airport catching the first half of the game. So
yeah,
appreciate that.
Was before I lost the RSN. I still had the NBC Sports boys at that point, but once we hit the air, that was over for the night.
Oh man! Well, make sure you're checking this out too on Twitter, on social media, on X, @Chuddy's Corner on all the platforms. Streaming on all platforms. Go ahead and make sure you hit the subscribe button. Go on the YouTube page, hit subscribe to that as well. And always make sure you're checking out chuddyscorner.com, the Chuddy blog. Step into the Chuddyverse and get a good scoop on we have player power rankings, team power rankings, coming out on Monday. Those are weekly, King Chuddy's power rankings. Some other good blogs going up on there as well, so make sure you're checking that out. Last piece of house cleaning, make sure that you check out our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate, nickperino.com. He's got all your real estate needs covered for the area here. But yeah, so we'll get right into it. Celtics again, 138-110 victory. Jayson Tatum, 32 points, 8 rebounds. Jaylen Brown, 25 points, 7 rebounds. Porzingis, 24 points, 6 rebounds. It's the 24th time all 5 starters have finished with double digits for the Celtics this season. So go ahead, Chuddy, let us know. Break down the game. What happened in tonight's game?
Yeah, well, fun game. Seemed like some juice in the garden. Little Friday night. Luka and Kyrie coming to town. I wouldn't call it a rivalry with the Mavericks, but a little more than I'd say your normal West Coast non-Lakers matchup with the Celtics. So it was a fun one, and it came out. I'd say it was a lot of fun. There's some fireworks both ways. We saw some Luka Doncic doing a little of everything, scoring a bunch of points. He finished with a triple-double. His passing was amazing, really. He's a joy to watch. But for me, this one, like most games lately, you already kind of mentioned it, taking care of business. And it's like the Celtics came out and just right out of the gate playing so well. It seems like they're in, just kind of almost like neutral gear. Like they're not doing anything too crazy. They're not, it seems like they have like a higher level to reach, but they're still just playing so well right out of the gate. Just attacking the right matchups, stuff that I feel like has always been a key and we've wanted them to do now is just second nature. They came right out of the gate, attacking Luka, attacking Kyrie. If the Mavs give up that switch early, they go right to Porzingis down low. Yet another game where Tatum completely feeling the game out. Didn't even score a field goal till like 5 minutes left in the second quarter. And again, not that he wasn't. I think he had only taken 3 shots. He wasn't taking a lot of shots. He's just completely content to let everyone else get involved. The Mavs don't have a ton of good defenders, so they're putting their best guy on Tatum, and they have pretty weak matchups across the rest of the board. A lot of Porzingis early. It was a lot of Derek White. I think was halfway to a triple-double in the first quarter. He had like 6, 6, and 5 after.
Yeah,
crazy
he was
like
on
that.
triple-double watch.
Yeah, a bunch of Porzingis. And, just the offense, again, it was like a well-oiled machine, just taking whatever the defense is giving us, which I feel like is another cliche that we are starting to say every single podcast. But it's really exactly what they're doing, and it's such a joy to watch. We saw last game against Philly where it was like, okay, tonight's going to be the night where we beat you without shooting any threes because you're taking those away. Tonight, I thought just right from the jump, the ball movement was amazing, setting up great shots, and the threes were falling. We saw Drew hit, I think, 3 corner threes in the first quarter. One of them was absolutely ridiculous. He caught the ball, it was like falling out of bounds. He's just so automatic from those corners. It's crazy to watch. They were saying some stats too, how he's like, I think the best statistical corner 3-point shooter like ever for this season is since they started tracking that, which was 25 years ago. He's literally has the highest percentage.
Yeah, well, I think it was a few weeks ago they started, or like maybe like 2 weeks ago they started to mention how good he was doing. And people keep saying, 62. It's like he's got to be higher than that now, because I feel like
he's 65 now.
He hasn't. I feel like he hasn't missed a corner 3 in weeks.
Yeah. They said the number. I'll get the exact number, but I heard them say it on the ESPN broadcast. He's like 47 for like 65 or something on the season. Like it really is absolutely absurd. He's creeping up towards like making 3 out of 4 corner threes. And the other thing too is it's a lot of guys who shoot corner threes is basically because like they're not great shooters, so the defense basically leaves them and they're like uncontested ones. A lot of those ones Drew's taking, like the guy's right in his face. They're not your basic like standing there and has 3 minutes to set himself threes. So I mean he's making those, and then again it's like it started off with it's kind of Drew, Derek, and Porzingis in the first quarter, and then it goes from there. The Jays get involved. Tatum got cooking a little bit at the end of the second quarter, and again just felt like we kind of were in like third, fourth gear a little bit in the first half, cruising along. Always kind of felt comfortable, but never really felt like we were exerting too much energy. And then in the third quarter came out, I think we had a 7-point lead to start. The first few minutes of that third quarter were like all-star game vibes. Well, sloppy, but it was just back and forth, like shot making. Like both teams were going back and forth. Felt like we were making every shot. PJ Washington got hot for them, hit a few threes. Tatum started to get going a little. He had a huge third quarter. And then it was actually the Mavs were cutting into the lead. They were down 2 at the ball, and PJ Washington actually had a look from 3 after he'd hit like 3 in a row that would have given the Mavericks, I think, their first lead, at least their first lead since very early in the game. He missed that at a 2-point game, and for the second game in a row, after the other team cut it to 2 in the second half, it felt like the Celtics just flipped the switch, and that was when they turned the defense on. The offense kept humming, picked up the pace a little bit. And before you know it, it was up to a 14-point lead before you could blink. I think it was 12 at the end of the third quarter. And then in the fourth, they just absolutely bludgeoned them. Nonstop came out, and they just completely put that game to bed. Awesome stuff. And again, it's just really such a balanced attack. Like the stats, Tatum had his moments. Brown took over. He kind of put the game on ice at the end of the game. He had a really good game the whole way, but at the end when Tatum sat, he had that crazy handle into that like weird 360 layup that he finished.
That was
he came
awesome.
down.
I'm so glad he made that though. Like if he did that and it was just like a wild shot, I would have been like, oh
no, but it was like so under control for a play that looked so out of control.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then the next possession he came down, got the switch, Derek Lively on him, and he just kind of jab step back 3. And then the next possession, he almost had the same thing, but another play where, again, he had Lively on him, so he knows that their big guy is outside. So that's a good move to shoot that 3. Sure enough, Derek White gives the offensive rebound. Then he kind of steps into a 3 there, and then it was Al Horford the next possession after a block. We pushed it up. Horford hit a 3, and he gave the "it's all over" like the old Vince Carter dunk contest gesture to Jason
funny.
Kidd.
He just doesn't say anything for so long, and then every now and then he just like
he picks his spots. Yeah, but again, it's just like it's like an avalanche when the Celtics started doing that, and it seems so quickly. Again, I said it felt like almost as good as the Mavs were and as close as the game was, it never felt like it was in doubt. But like I mentioned, suddenly you're looking up, it's only a 2-point game midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then it's like a blink of an eye 10 minutes later in real time, and suddenly the Celtics are up 23 and they're taking the starters out with 4 minutes left. So it's just pretty amazing what they're able to do on both sides, and it's crazy. It feels like they're playing so well, but still like not playing anywhere close to their best. And at this point, like they're just channeling it at certain times. And it's not like they're flipping a switch or like coasting, but it really is like they're exerting just the right amount of energy in all these games to like win them pretty easily. But it feels like they're still like leaving a lot on the table. So again, it comes out with the 28-point win. Super impressive stats. I think 28 was the highest margin the whole game. Like it was a closer game for most of it, but at the same time, it like never really was that close. So again, just a super impressive win, and the fact that they're just having these like casual, comfortable wins against teams that I thought of as contenders or right on the verge of being contenders, and it just doesn't look like they're even in the same class as the Celtics. So just super impressive stuff. I'm like not even sure what more you can say at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that I had the number earlier. So they've won 10 straight, and I think it's by
Mm-hmm.
like 19.1 is like the margin of victory, the average
It's
margin
like
of victory.
127 total points over the last like 5 games or something. I know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
they
it's
just not even
just
playing close games.
yeah, so it is kind of just like they're kind of picking their spots. This game felt it's almost like I was thinking I was kind of when you have like 3 days off now between games, have some time to like start reflecting on some things. And so it's like it's just kind of funny that the last loss we have was the Lakers one where I was like, this is the worst loss
So,
of the
I was gonna
season.
bring that up,
And then they
after
rattled that. Well, I'm glad I got to it first. But it also kind of makes it so that just looks stupid now. I can admit that. Man enough to admit that.
I was gonna ask if you were still feeling the same level of
No,
annoyance.
I have every right to be pissed off of that night, but sounds really
But
stupid
did you
now.
really? Now that
Yes. Yes, because that's what being a fan is sometimes. You are irrational and you do just stupid things. You say stupid things. That's what sports do to you. It's beautiful.
Oh, as long as you can admit it was stupid and irrational.
Yeah, credit to me. And fuck, now I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, this game. I've kind of noticed. Like it feels like at the start of the season, and I think if you go and look at some of the tape of some of the previous episodes, like there'd be these games where it gets down to like a game exactly like today, where it gets down to 2, and like we'd be saying like we had that like PTSD of like previous years where we've blown it, and I feel like I've noticed the last few games that it's like I don't have that anymore. I feel like I'm cured of that PTSD of what this team used to do against like teams where they would have this lead and they just play shitty and lose the lead. So it is kind of nice that they are able to kind of turn it on when they do and just kind of run away with these games. Like it almost feels like a yo-yo. The other thing I was thinking of was that like Geico commercial with a guy with a fishing rod that's like he's like, oh, like almost got it, like got to be
with
quicker
the cash
than
on the end of
the line. Yeah. I feel like that's like what some of these Celtics games are like, where it's like we're like the old man, and it's like the other teams are trying. They're just like, yeah, no. At the end of the day, like we're just gonna run away with this one. So I mean, credit to the Mavs. I thought there was some points in the game when they're definitely playing pretty well. Like that first quarter, the first like 5 minutes, this game was like frenetic. It was like this is gonna be awesome. This game's gonna be just like a whole bunch of fireworks. But I thought too. You mentioned it. We were on the Slides and Curveballs podcast, and you mentioned that the Celtics play with more. I think you said like offensive socialism or something like that. I feel like there was a little bit of Mavs socialism tonight at some points in their offense. I felt like just the fact that you had PJ Washington, you had Derek Lively, and then there was one other guy too that I feel like was playing pretty well for them. And I think that was where it got that's where I got the only reason I got a little bit nervous because I'm like at some point I'm like, okay, so Luka is scoring and he's passing the ball. Like that's kind of like if you're letting him do both of those, I think Cassell said that too to Abby at halftime. It's just like if he's doing both, that's not good. Like if he's doing one or the other, we can live with that, but it ended up not mattering. I mean, they lost by $1 billion. I think that like this is a great game for the Tatum Luka kind of debate that's been going on. It just kind of highlights exactly what I feel the difference is. Like Tatum, he had 32 points and 37 for Luka. Tatum did it on fewer shots. The team won by $1 billion. Like I don't know, it's pretty clear which one I would take at that. But just just total business like shit. Not a whole lot to break down.
I thought Luka played really well, especially in the first half. I thought he was awesome. But I think again, it's kind of like where you said before, like how we would see these leads slip away and start to get nervous, and you could almost like feel it spiraling, and you could sense like, oh shit. And it was kind of like I was thinking almost the same thing. Where tonight we went in, I think up like 7 at halftime, and at first I was kind of like, it feels like we should be up more. Then I was like, but also I'm very comfortable with like the way we're playing, and it feels like we're just so confident in what we're doing. And we keep doing the right thing over and over again. And it just seems like we trust that is eventually going to work over the span of 48 minutes. And it's like being proven true. So it's like, even when things are going wrong, like the beginning of that third quarter, when they cut it close, it was like, again, the Celtics game plan, like you said, was kind of, I think, to let Luka get his. We weren't barely ever doubling him. And yeah, sometimes he would go in, get a mismatch and score. Like, but we were giving up a switch. We were letting Porzingis take him. We were letting Al take him. We were even letting Pritchard take him. And yeah, sometimes he scores. But you're right. When he's not getting those other guys involved, it's like you're not going to beat us by yourself, no matter how good you are.
Yeah.
And we just like trusted that game plan. And again, it's like they got going a little, like I mentioned, PJ Washington hit those 3 threes in a row. Lively had like those 3 dunks in the first half. But the Celtics, but they didn't overreact to that. They just said, like, these are outliers. We're not going to overreact. And sure enough, I think Washington missed his next 3 or whatever. And that's when the Celtics got going. And it's just like, we are so confident in what we're doing. And I think that's a lot of that is a credit to Joe, the way he's coaching. And he's clearly keeping them like very even keeled, very like stick to the script. He's playing those law of averages. He's drilling into their head. This is what we want to do. We are better than them. If we keep doing the right thing, it's going to work. And I think when you talk about some of those blown leads in the past, I don't think we were kind of that level-headed. I think things would start to go sideways, and we would overreact. We would get a little panicky, and you could sense it. And with this team, it's the opposite. The game gets close, and they seem so calm, and it's like they focus even a little bit more on doing the right thing. And again, you're just seeing it over and over again. It's like eventually they can't stop what we're doing, and eventually what we're doing to them is going to work. It's like the times we lose, again, it seemed like Luka would have, I mean, what did you say he finished with? 37, 12, and 11 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
And it felt like that was totally fine. Like, it was within the rhythm of what we were giving them, and we weren't, he had the assist, but it wasn't like he was getting
like he wasn't
else going
it wasn't like
crazy.
lighting us up. There was no point. It's just like, holy shit, this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's just like such a testament to the players and the coaching staff that, and I mean, Tatum in his interview right after the game, I think he used the phrase like, we're just trusting the process. And it's so true. Like,
did he actually use that phrase?
He
That's
did
awesome.
say that.
Philly fans must be fucking sick.
But I think it's pretty clear, like, if they do have the right process, they have the most talented team, and that's going to come through, and lately it has been, and I think they really are playing their best basketball of the season, and maybe some of the best basketball we've seen in, a decade or more from this team, and it's like, top to bottom, they're just so good, and they're all, you brought up how I said it's like basketball socialism, but it really is, like, the Tatum-Luka thing. It was a perfect point that, it was a close back and forth game for most of the first half. We were winning, I think, by, 5 to 10, it felt like, pretty much the whole time. But Luka's up there. He almost had a triple-double in the first half. He had 20 points halfway through the second quarter. Tatum's up there. He's taken 3 shots, and he has, 2 points on free throws. And the Celtics offense was completely humming. And it's like, how many stars are that confident to just completely not care and seriously let the game come to them that much? And it's like, at the end of the day, he got his stats. Would he finish 32 and 8 or something like that?
32 and 8.
He knows that that's there for him anytime he wants, but he doesn't have to go into it and start taking it until it's time. Everyone else is going. The defense is adjusting to everyone else, and then it's like, and then they let their guard down a tiny bit on Tatum like they did in the third quarter, and then he's like, perfect, now I'm taking over. And it's really... when they keep playing like that, I sound like a broken record here, but it's like, if they just keep doing the right thing, if they have the discipline to keep doing that over and over again, and it seems like that is a huge part of their growth, especially with the Jays, and I mean, Porzingis to a lesser extent too, but where those guys are just like, I don't have to be the guy tonight. I don't have to shoot 30 shots. I don't care if I lead the team in scoring. If we're winning every game by 20, like, I'm going to get the respect I deserve. And even if I don't care, because we're just going to be so good and have the best record. And it's truly beautiful to watch as a fan of basketball and as a fan of the Celtics. Like, got to just appreciate what we're seeing.
Yeah, you brought up something I want to get back to, like, about the coaching and stuff like that, because on the previous podcast, shout out Coley Mick for filling in for me. That was a great podcast, but you guys brought up a lot about Joe, so I did want to touch on that. So before I did that, though, you're mentioning Tatum just, like, kind of letting your guard down and he appears. At one point, I was, like, just watching the game. Like, imagine if you're just, like, a player who's, like, the, like, 4th or 5th best player on the Dallas Mavericks, so you're not, like, a world beater by any stretch. And you're just, like, repeatedly seeing, like, Jayson Tatum coming on the floor and, like, seeking you out every time in a mismatch. Like, I was just thinking about how, like, helpless of a feeling that must be for, like, some of those guys that were getting caught in these mismatches. Once he started to get going, it was after he had, like, the and one, like, that and one play in the second. Then after that, I think he scored, like, 9 straight points.
Like 9 in a row, yeah.
But it was, I don't know. That's just, like, a random aside or just thing like that. It just sucks so fucking
and
bad.
it was, like, the funny part is, like,
just switching on you.
Josh Green was like a pretty good defender, and that's again the thing we're seeing with this team, the Celtics team, how good all of the guys we play are, and it's like every team pretty much has like some weakness. So I mean, the Mavs, again, they're not a great defensive team; they're fine, but it's like, who's their best defender? I don't know, Josh Green maybe. So he's on Tatum or PJ Washington, but it's like we're just so content to move the ball around until we find the matchup, and
we got into that. I just was more just like there was just a few plays where I'm like. I'm just thinking, like, what in that defender's head, I must just be like, motherfucker.
Hopeless.
But I want to go back because so Coley had the take. He's saying Joe Mass, maybe the best coach in the league. So I don't hate it. I love that I love that he's putting that out there. I'm like, pretty much, it took pretty much like I said, a few days off between games for me to pretty much be like all on board with it, actually. And I was thinking of like the comparison that you mentioned was like Spoelstra. Like, there's a lot of like looking back, kind of reflective stuff on last year and stuff, and all this extra time we've had. But like you mentioned the thing with Spoelstra where like at one point Pat Riley just like called down and was like, this guy's the coach, like everyone just like shut the fuck up, like whatever he says, do it. And at the time, like I remember at the time, like we were like laughing at Spoelstra and stuff like that. Like LeBron like shoulder checked him and shit like that. Like, so, you would have never thought that in like, 5 years that he would suddenly, be as respected as he is and as he deserves to be. But I was thinking too, like last year, I remember when the Celtics gave Mazzulla the 4-year extension, like before like they even, I think, made the playoffs. Like it was like before even the playoffs run began.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were kind of like reacting to that. I sort of feel like that's almost like a similar moment, that comparable moment where, it might not have been the way, calling down and yelling at your star players, whatever, but it kind of was like sort of saying like, look, like this guy's coming back next year. Like this is part of what we think. And I think that it's paid off too with Mazzulla because the way the whole team is like talking and stuff, I think is like one of the things where I noticed kind of the Mazzulla coaching like style the most is like the way the team like answers questions and talks and like the meeting and stuff like that. Like it's almost like it's not exactly like Belichick, and maybe it's just because we live in New England and we kind of just like that's like been our whole like world for a while. But it's like it almost feels like sort of like that where it's like they're not really giving like they're answering questions almost very like matter of factly and just like almost like educating like you on the answer, not sort of not speaking in sound bites and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm like on board with what Coley's getting at. So it's one of those things where it's like I feel like in a few years it's going to not be crazy to say it. Again, you have to acknowledge that he has just like a wicked, insanely talented team. So like when you talk about a guy like Spoelstra, like what he gets out of players who aren't like don't have that talent, jury is out on if Mazzulla is going to be able to do that. Hopefully, he doesn't have to worry about that for a while. Hopefully, with what we're paying for slices of pizza at the Garden, which I don't mind, but hopefully that means that we're signing everybody. But yeah, I think I just kind of wanted to touch on what Coley was saying, and it's just that I think that there's a good chance that he'll be having that conversation will be more like well known and accepted with people in a few years because what he's doing is great, and I think the culture that he's building again. The team has that too, but it's just like almost fun to watch. Like I had the extra time with you, like getting ready and stuff like that, to watch like a lot of the post game interviews. Usually we're like right in here, so we don't see those. But it just like listen to the team talk. It's like it's just a very like one voice like kind of thing, and that's obviously that's a credit to the coaching. So shout out Joe, shout out Coley. I'm on board. We're going to be some of the first ones to the take.
No, I mean I think we often. Not like me and you, but just fans in general are kind of like slow to change narratives like that, where it comes in and everyone's kind of, I don't want to say anti-Joe, but again, he had an uphill battle taking over in the way he did. We talked about it a million times, but it's like, it's not one of those things that overnight you gradually start to warm up. I think, like you said, it's one of those things where you're suddenly going to wake up and look around and be like, wait, like this guy is just good. And we all kind of need to reevaluate like the way we've been judging him and everybody else. And yeah, a lot of it is definitely the players too, but we've had a lot of these players and he did get them all to fit together, get them all to buy in and all that stuff. Like having them all on the same page the way they are, I think a lot of that is his style and the confidence he's instilled in them and the position he's put them in to, take accountability and to take on these leadership roles and to be so confident to say all the right stuff and do all the right stuff. Like, I don't think everyone's just parroting him, obviously, but I think, it comes from the top down, and I think they all kind of feed off the way he is and the stuff he says, and they all are clearly fully buying in. And, again, it's a lot of it, I think, is the right mix of players where we've got these veterans who all really want to win, and even the young guys like the Jays feel like veterans at this point who like are ready to sacrifice to win. And I mean, it's one thing to all go out there and say it, but you look at what's happening on the court and it's like they're walking the walk as much as they're talking the talk too.
Yeah, and I think too, I don't know if you saw when Pritchard and Derek White were on Part of My Take, and they kind of were asking how do you compare Mazzulla to Brad and then Ime? They're saying he kind of has a mix of the two of them. Like he sort of has that like craziness that I think that Ime had, that I think that a lot of the guys kind of did like too. But I do feel like Mazzulla, and again, I'm really just basing this on sometimes his post-game interviews when he starts talking X's and O's, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, like, he lost.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to keep up, but he lost me. Like, I couldn't keep up with what he was explaining, but it sounds like incredibly smart as he's explaining it. So I feel like he was kind of like almost a similar, and again, to not, not to compare him to Spoelstra, but to kind of compare the story arc, I think. It feels like he's a guy who was just sort of like, a kind of backbencher on the staff of like the guy who's now a successful GM, Pat Riley's kind of like similar thing, moving up or whatever. Yeah. And like the guy, the GM sort of being like, this is a guy who like was on my staff, like kind of knows his shit. So yeah, I think to have that, I think the brains part, but then also just to have the guy be a total like nut. Like you guys mentioned how he just was like injured. He had like an eye injury because he just was playing pickup basketball like so hard. Yeah. Like he's getting in there and like playing like with the players. I mean, that's obviously it's the advantage being like a younger coach, but it's just so nuts that he's like that. Like it's just like crazy in his head. It's pretty funny. So
it is cool.
Definitely.
There's another funny Joe moment today. I don't know, or I think it was today or yesterday, but John Wall was on some podcast and they were asking him about when they lost in the tournament or something with like him and DeMarcus Cousins. And Wall like jokingly was saying how he was like disappointed in himself because he's like, yeah, I had like Joe Mazzulla guarding me. And like someone today in the pregame press conference asked Mazzulla about it. And he immediately like knew exactly what they're talking about and started talking about the game plan. He's like, we did this, we did
like, yeah, see, like I feel like
such a brilliant mind for it, clearly.
Yeah,
I
think that was part of the narrative last year
too. Well, right. And I think part of it is he was kind of like, you mentioned Belichick, and I think part of it was that, where it was like he would almost be like an ass to the media in a way that I think made people be like, what is this guy saying? Like, who is he? And I think he's kind of gotten more in depth where, like you said, sometimes it comes off like he's almost being a prick, but like he will give you a good like 3-minute answer and like break down exactly what he's saying. And I think
if the goal is to like understand what he's thinking, he's really good, I think, at that. If it's to like get the coach to like do a soundbite, then it's not that, but.
Right, and I think it was like Zach Lowe or someone in the media who's like really respected, but they said exactly that, where they were kind of like, at first everyone was kind of wondering like, who is this Joe Mazzulla guy? Like, what the hell is he saying? And he's like, he doesn't really open himself up that much, like his personality to the media. But he's like, a couple times I had the chance to actually meet with him and like talk to him off camera, and he's like 2 minutes in, I was just like, oh my god, this guy is like, knows his shit. Like,
I think he had an interview too recently. He was kind of saying like last year I didn't really know, like the media part was definitely like something I didn't really know much about. He's like, I didn't know how to kind of present myself, so I was sort of trying to be something a little bit different, maybe like overdoing it a little bit. So again, I think it's just like it's almost like they have this, like the whole team just sort of has this, like including the coach, like this like openness to like adjusting to like every situation. It's like crazy, like on the court and like off the court. It's kind of like everything is like, well, let me think about how that went for me and it didn't go well, so let me do it a different way. It's really cool.
I think he's also the way he's adjusting with what we're doing game to game, where even like a game like today, you saw right off the bat, like he's messing kind of around with stuff where Tatum go out early, but then come back in
right back in
the first quarter. Today he throws Tillman in there, who we got to talk about Tillman. I thought he was great. He would send out the Tillman Al lineup. Those guys look like twins out there.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to get a nickname for that lineup.
Yeah, I mean it's just awesome, and Tillman looked great on both ends out there. Like him, and again, it's just mixing the lineups. Like the lineup he had out there, it was basically 4 shooters and Tillman. So he's got Tillman as the screener. And then Tatum was like, every time they're basically doubling Tatum because it's a good screen. And then he's hitting Tillman right away on the short roll. And Tillman is basically just at the free throw line, almost like wide open. Defense is collapsing. And Tillman was just like picking them apart. He had like an alley-oop to Al. He had a couple different guys in the corners for threes. And when like
that was an awesome,
he went in and scored on his own. Like,
I love that offense that you were just mentioning where it was Tillman out there with those 4 guys. Like,
it looked awesome.
And it's great. It's the playoff, the different kind of lineups too. That I thought that was, I know that's why I noticed it early because they took Tatum out for like not really that long at all. And then he was just like kind of right back in and sort of like,
but it was like he went to the bench like quicker than usual, but came in again. Like you said, it was a very short rest. But...
Yeah. So it's interesting. We talked a little bit about like we kind of getting those playoff lineups and stuff like that. And just sort of like, like not, again, like you said, it's not like coasting in some of these games, but just kind of like getting an opportunity to sort of see what what kind of works, and like being like willing to be like, okay, well, that one didn't really work. 5-minute stretch, they cut the lead to 2. All right, didn't really work. Let's get to what we know works.
Right.
Pump the lead back up. Tinker with stuff a little bit. Lead dies. Okay, it was actually pretty funny.
It's awesome. Well, it is awesome, and it's how we're gonna find out. Like again, we talk all season about it's all about just building habits and about like learning things for the playoffs. And to watch the way he is experimenting with little things like that is great too. And we are finding more things. I mean, again, basically, he just gave the Cornet role to Tillman tonight, and it looked awesome. And Tillman went out there and responded, and that's now something else to build on. We mentioned like the Tatum thing early, and then in the fourth, like a lot of the year, we've seen White will start the fourth quarter on the bench and come in with like 6 or 7 minutes left to close. Tonight, he went with basically the non-Tatum lineup to start the fourth, and it was like JB, White, I think Al, Tillman, and whatever, and that lineup looked awesome too. So it's like he's just tinkering around, like you said, finding exactly what works, finding all these combinations, and just building the kind of the more things you have and like the more options he has to go to in the playoffs, the better we're going to be. And again, we keep talking about how the last few years, it seems like we've been really good, but when they kind of stop our main thing, we don't have a ton of second options.
Yeah.
Now it seems like this team has so many different options, so many lineups you can play, and we can play so many different ways. We just mentioned last game, we dominated Philly. We hit 5 threes all game. Tonight, we hit 21 threes and made almost half of them. It's like this team can literally do anything, beat you anyway. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. It's so cool. And I think also another thing that's probably not getting pointed out as much that is another like nice factor of Joe doing all this stuff is I think it kind of keeps the players on their toes and engaged too, where it would be easy for them to look and be like, we're 47-12. We're absolutely just like racing to the 1 seed. It'd be easy to get complacent and almost a little like bored and just be like, all right, when are the playoffs going to start? So him switching things up and kind of keeping them on their toes, I think is twofold in that, it's great for all the stuff we just mentioned. And I think it also keeps the players on their toes. We're like, ooh, all right, we're doing something a little different. And we're going with this and like keeping it new, keeping it fresh for them too. So yeah, it's just awesome.
That is true. It's kind of a good way to sort of avoid kind of getting that complacency because it's like, okay, well, this is something different. So I'm not really sure how it's going to work out. Like if it's you just doing like the same thing, like, all right, here I'm going and I'm coming out same time. That's actually a pretty good point. I didn't think about that. I like that.
Yeah. Sometimes I notice stuff.
Yeah, that's great observation, bro. Like, oh my gosh, you watched the game, huh? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have anything else. I did, like I said, we need to find out some name for that Tillman Al lineup. I was like, I mean,
they look like twins out there. Like,
I know.
I was watching on my laptop tonight. I don't have the best eyes already. I did have my glasses, but I was watching on the laptop because I'm on the road. And like I had to squint because they look so similar out there, and it's like they're almost interchangeable. And they had a few of those big-to-big passes too underneath.
Yeah, Tillman's a little bit like more chunkier.
A little bit. They look pretty similar out there. Yeah, Al's kind of svelte, I guess that's fair. But they both had a couple nice blocks. They could both kind of get up and down. It's like they can do a lot of the same stuff on offense and defense. Tillman obviously doesn't quite have the range of the 3-point shooter, but again, the way he was screening and playing out of that short roll was beautiful to watch. So again, I don't know if this is now going to be like, okay, that's his role going forward now. But again, it's just like one more thing on the tool belt for Joe to go to. Like it's just great. Yeah. And I'm sure Tillman will get a lot more opportunity down the stretch, and we'll see if he actually sticks in the rotation. But I think just based on tonight, it's like, damn, that's a player.
Definitely, yeah, he definitely took the most. Won the Tommy Award. I'd say this one's probably a little bit of a biased one, just first time getting in there, but you know,
no, but
the best Tommy Award's the next Tommy Award, though. Tillman, don't get too complacent.
Yeah, no, I don't think that was a gift Tommy Award. I thought Tillman was awesome and made a huge impact in his minute.
Yeah.
And again, that's tough too to just be out of completely. Not only is he on a new team, but he hasn't even been in the rotation. And then again, Joe's just like, all right, you're
play
getting
like
minutes tonight in the rotation,
yeah.
and he jumped in and couldn't have been more ready.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else specific? I have a couple just of stats in the game. I don't know if you have anything like specific breakdown wise for the game.
No, I mean not really beyond that. I think
it's kind of like we said, it's just sort of like just like it's crazy that they've won 10 straight by 19. It's like they're honestly trying to put podcasters like out of business. Like when we said we're going to recap every game, we didn't realize that they're going to be just winning 10 straight by 19 points a game. It's just kind of like, but we've done pretty well, I think, for ourselves, making this still getting plenty out of this team, still plenty to look at, plenty to get excited about. This is
still some meat on the bone too.
Yeah, a couple stats. This was a Dick Light one. 15th time that the Celtics have scored 100 points before the start of the fourth quarter this season. They're 14-1 now in those games. So
Okay.
I think the only loss was the Pacers game that we
That makes
lost.
sense.
My source for that is just the top comment, and it just sounded like it made sense.
I know we did lose that game like 136 to 135.
Yeah, so you had to have had
Checks
100,
out.
right? Yeah, it checks out. That's Dick Life. The other stat I mentioned earlier, 24th time, 5 starters. All 5 stars have double digits. That's another Dick Life special.
Yep.
Give a shout out to him. And also they mentioned, too, on the post-game show, Porzingis is now 7-0 against former teams this season.
Oh,
So,
okay. And he missed the game in Dallas, right? Didn't he sit that one out when we played the Mavericks last time?
Yeah. So
nice for him to get out there, get a little revenge.
Yeah,
he played great.
4-0 against the Knicks. I think we beat the Wizards twice, and now the Mavs.
Sounds pretty good.
The Wizards 2 more times, so you can get that to 9-0.
Love it.
And Celtics 9-1 in the month of February, best month of February in Celtics history, which I thought was pretty crazy.
That is
like 9-1
short
pretty
month
good
because of the short month anyway. But also
with
short month because of the All-Star break. But
yeah.
Nevertheless, also I thought it was, I guess, not that weird when you think about it, but it felt like kind of weird when they first said it. But the Celtics right now, they're the only they've won 10 in a row. No other team has had a 10-game winning streak at any point this season.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw that too, and I wasn't sure if that was true or not. That's crazy. I feel like the NBA's. I don't know. There's been a lot of times where there's been some pretty. I mean, that's obviously a long, but I would assume someone would have done that by now.
Right. But goes to show. And again, all bouncing back from that Lakers game. So I mean, that's going to be a funny pod to go.
It really is so crazy. When I was trying to think of the last time they lost, and I saw that it was the Lakers game, I was like, oh fuck! Like that take is. I gotta get that. I gotta take that take out. And throw that. It's like that take was like the leftover just sitting in the back of the fridge. I had to finally. I gotta get rid of this stuff.
I think
gotta toss this out.
Officially established that was a just a little blip on the radar, one-off type game.
Yeah. But yeah, I was angry, and that's what sports will do to you. So it happens. Again, Tatum 32 points, 8 rebounds. Jaylen Brown 25 points, 7 rebounds. Porzingis 24 points, 6 rebounds. Drew Holiday, 11.7 assists. Horford, 12 points, 8 rebounds. And we mentioned White, almost kind of tempered off a little bit, but he had 13, 7, and 8. Was on triple-double watch there for a little while. After the first quarter, he had 5, 5, 5. I was like, ooh, this could be something here. It's a nice little start, quiet little start for him.
Yeah.
So that's it. Celtics get the 138-110 victory over the Mavs. I think they go on the road. They have one more game at home?
Yeah, Golden State.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, Sunday at 3:30.
Tatum's birthday.
Oh, wow. All right, we're going to have
his last game as a 25-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Well, isn't he technically 26 if it's on his birthday?
No, I'm saying today was his last game.
Oh, today. Okay. I thought, okay. All right, that makes sense. That makes way more sense. So, do you have anything before we get into a little bit of breakdown that game? You got anything for? I have a few. I actually brought a few around the NBA topics to the table tonight. But I know you've been traveling. I wanted to, in case I know that there's a,
Yeah.
So let me.
I mean, you go first.
Okay, mine are kind of stupid. Anthony Edwards left the game tonight for the birth of a child. Is that the send the video child? That's what I didn't know if you knew anything about that.
Oh,
or is that
would feel way too recent, no?
But I don't know when those got shared recently. But I don't know. That
just came out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because that would be crazy if those guys just end up finding love and raising the. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry that I said that. Send the video. That was like one of those ones where like everybody on Twitter thought they were the first one to say send the video in the comments. So you look at the comment of the tweet. It's just like everyone thought they were like, oh, no one else is gonna think of this. But I thought that was kind of funny. If that is, I'm just curious if anyone knows. Let us know. Have the intern look at it.
We'll get the intern on that. Yes, absolutely.
Get the intern to that hospital ASAP.
Yeah. Intern will make the intern violate HIPAA.
Oh, yeah.
If it has to be.
That's that. If he hasn't already.
And
also tonight the Grizzlies Trailblazers played Lamar Stevens Delano Banton Bowl.
Nice.
That was pretty. They each had what do they have? Lamar Stevens 19 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. Banton had 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. One
awesome.
of the teams blew out the other one. I forget what
I think the Blazers crushed the Grizzlies.
The Blazers crushed the Grizzlies. So which one plays for the Blazers? Banton plays for the Blazers. So he had the better night. But that's kind of cool. I mean, they each played about 20 minutes, but that's kind of I thought that was kind of interesting, just that those two got their chance to kind of get out and make some moves.
Yeah,
again,
I mean,
kudos to us. We send these guys to great landing spots.
Exactly, and I mean, we talked last time we played the Grizzlies how that team is just like playing all G Leaguers, and Stevens is like legitimately one of their best players now. So I mean, yeah, we put him in a great position to succeed.
It's kind of funny that we sent
awesome.
2 guys to the Grizzlies, and neither trade seemed rude. Like when we sent Marcus to the Grizzlies at first, it seemed like, oh, that's a great landing spot because that's a team that like needs that toughness. And now we sent Ben, and we're sitting there because it's like, well, that's a team that literally has fucking nobody, and it sucks. So that's a great situation for him too. It's like send him to the same team, and they're perfect fits for totally opposite reasons. Like the team just totally different from when we sent Marcus there.
When they're healthy, they should be good again. And I think honestly, Stevens might have like earned himself a spot in the rotation. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Stevens comes back in like a legitimate bench role for them next year. So I'm hoping it works out for everyone involved.
Yeah, good for them. So those are just I had those shows too. not a great.
I like that.
Preparing for around the NBA is harder than. So shout out to you for that. It's harder than you think.
Yeah, thank you. That's true. Everybody out there. Well, like I said, I was traveling most of the night, so all I've really watched for tonight is the Celtics. I am very excited to get off this call at about 1 a.m. and watch all the other condensed games from tonight because I don't know what happened, so I'm very excited about that.
It'll be a jam-packed around the NBA then on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely. But I do have some other stuff from earlier in the week as it's been a little while. Last night, Wemby versus Chet. This felt like you're going to remember where you were when it happened game. You kind of just like feel it when it was happening that this was like Wemby's true, like, holy shit, this guy has fucking arrived. He was unbelievable. The Spurs won the game. He was so fired up, and it seemed like it's very cool. These guys honestly do seem like they have a little like personal rivalry and don't really like each other. Like they're both wicked fired up. Wemby hit like a 3 and then locked down Chet 1-on-1, stuffed the absolute shit out of him. Those were like the 2 crunch time possessions. He hit another like dagger 3.
I saw him like crazy afterwards too.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, we've talked about Wemby a lot, but it really is one of those things that seems like we're just already taking for granted, like how absurd his stat lines are. He had another like 28, 12, 7 and 5, like just absolute video game numbers he does every game. Whatever stat line he had last game, he had 5 threes. He was like, I think the first player in NBA history to have like over 25, 10, 5 blocks and 5 threes made. It's like every single night. Someone said it's like that Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout tweet that they used to do for the Angels where someone was just like, Ohtani was like, did blah, blah, blah. It was like Trout had like 3 home runs and Ohtani, he was the first person to do something since like 1912.
Angels
like,
lose.
Angels lost again. Yeah. It's like, Wemby, they need to get good like very quickly because it's like bordering on that where you read the stats and you're like, how is this even real with this dude? So go out and watch Wemby. I think he's winning people over kind of one by one. And at this point, it's just like, if you like basketball, go watch this because it's amazing. And I don't think it's going to be long until he is like,
I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep my Wemby take hidden deep in that proverbial take refrigerator. I'm going to let that thing rot in there. I'm not going to come on. There'll be no apology tour.
Okay, well, so be it. Another interesting thing that happened last night, there was a finals rematch. The Nuggets pulled out the win over the Heat, but Jamal Murray landed on Aaron Gordon and sprained his ankle. Ugly one. He was down for a few minutes, left the game, second quarter, did not return. Obviously, Murray has had injury issues in the past, missed over an entire season with that ACL injury. He got healthy. Obviously, it was huge last year for the Nuggets, winning it all. And he's been mostly healthy this year. So, knock on wood that he is okay, because, I mean, that is obviously nobody wants to see that. The Nuggets, really, the Nuggets and the Celtics are the 2 favorites, but taking Jamal Murray out of the equation would change things. I haven't heard any update today. They said it was just a sprained ankle, so I'd imagine he'll be fine for the playoffs, but again, just something to monitor, and a team where the Nuggets, it seems like that's like really the only thing that could go wrong for them is getting one of those guys hurt or something like that. So hope it's nothing too serious. Another Western Conference injury thing to watch has been one of the healthiest teams in the league this year, shutting up a lot of the haters, has been the Clippers. Paul George has quietly missed a few games, and the verbiage around his injury has changed, and it's now last game was changed and listed as a meniscus issue. And Clippers fans getting some ugly deja vu of how these things have gone in the last few years, where something that seems small, suddenly you get some like horrible news out of nowhere. They're already worried that there's a torn meniscus, that PG might be done. The Clippers have been floundering a bit lately. I don't think it's a huge coincidence that it's without, obviously, one of their stars. So, again, something to keep a close eye on that I think is flying a little under the radar right now, and we haven't really got much of an update.
While we're on the Clippers,
there.
Do you see the new logo? What do you think of the new logo?
I actually like it overall. I think the color scheme, the jerseys, all that are fine. I mean,
I don't hate
it's whatever.
I
don't hate it.
It's at least like kind of like attempting to be like of what the team actually is. Like there's so many logos now that it's just like I'm just gonna make the first letter of what we are, like the logo.
Yeah.
So
just like the old like Madden create a uniform font.
Yeah. So I like that they went for it there.
I did too.
Although I do think it looks more like a cruise ship than a Clipper ship. But
yeah,
like maybe. When you look at it.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of true.
It might be one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, I'll have to take a closer look at it now. But I also think nowadays, just like no matter what, the race is like anyone puts out any like
you immediately
logo made,
you have to just shit on us for like a year. Yeah,
exactly. It's like the thing to do is just to make fun of it. So
yeah.
I don't know. I thought
if you hold that, if you can survive a year of that, then it's a good uniform. It's basically like the litmus test. You can survive just everyone getting absolutely clowned on for it for no reason other than that's what the internet's there to do and supposed to do. Yeah, exactly. It's like even I got caught in that. It's like I don't even dislike the uniform, but I'm like, that's so fucking stupid.
These idiots.
Wow, dude, sick uniforms, guys. Like holy shit.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things again where you can't really win, but I thought they're solid. I like them for the most part.
Brave. It was brave.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. Other injury news, we didn't talk about it, but it happened, I guess, a little bit ago at this point. But Trae Young, injury with surgery, I think, on his hand, and he's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So I thought it was funny that a lot of people's first reaction to this was like, oh, well, like the Hawks are just like tanking now. And I actually kind of don't think that. Like, I'm not convinced they're going to be a ton worse with DeJounte Murray just kind of sliding into that role and them playing like a much more balanced team attack. They already have a ready-made point guard who's a much better defender. I think in terms of like wins and losses, they might actually get better or at least like not get worse. And I think if it does go well, and maybe even if it doesn't, this could be the end of Trae Young in Atlanta because I think they definitely have to trade one of those guys. And I think this is like perfect opportunity for Quinn Snyder to be like, I want to play this way with defense. I don't want to build this stupid team around this tiny point guard who is awful at defense. And again, I think this might be one of those things where I don't want to say blessing in disguise or whatever, but I won't be surprised if the Hawks don't really like take a step back and this leads to them trading Trae Young in the offseason.
Interesting. So, I have another bit of injury news. I don't know if you've seen this. Scotty Barnes. Okay. Ooh.
Yeah. No, I didn't see. Yeah, well, I had a feeling that's where you were going next because it was the only other injury thing written down.
I thought I put one over.
That sucks. Obviously, the Raptors are, in rebuilding mode and kind of blew it up this year, trading away OG and Siakam. But, I think a big reason that they did that is because Barnes has been awesome. They completely nailed that pick. It was kind of, they were made fun of at the time for taking him ahead of Jalen Suggs and some other guys, but that was absolutely the right pick. He honestly is looking like he might even be better than the guys picked ahead of him. Evan Mobley's taken a bit of a step back this year. Jalen Green's been a disaster. Kate Cunningham, let's just say the jury's still out. Barnes might honestly be the best pick of that kind of top group there, which nobody was saying at the time. So good on Toronto. Good on him. He's been awesome. I think he's played in all 60 games too. Got hurt tonight. So he's been incredibly healthy. And he's been the bright spot of that team and really kind of, I think, the reason that they finally were so okay with giving all those guys up because they realized like Scotty Barnes is our best player. He's the future of the team. So hope he's all right. What was the injury? It was something with his hand too, right?
Yeah, I think it might.
I want to say something with a metatarsal. I remember that word being in the tweet. Like I said, I wasn't. That
literally sounds like a dinosaur.
Yeah, and they are the dinosaurs. So.
Oh, well, that's crazy.
Very. Not a coincidence.
No coincidence. He hurts his dinosaur bone.
Yes.
Yeah, I had the tweet bookmarked. A fracture to his third metacarpal bone of his left hand is out indefinitely, per Shams.
There you go. Yeah, some fossil shit.
There you go.
Hate to see it.
Anything else around the
obviously,
NBA?
like I said, a lost season for the Raptors, so it sucks to see. And the other thing I had was the Lakers and the Warriors both quietly surging in the West and just have kind of settled into the point where at least they're not going to miss the play-in, which for a while seemed like it might be the case. They're both playing really well, and they're both locked into at least the play-in. And man, if you haven't been paying close attention out there, go take a peek at those Western Conference standings.
Wild.
The play-in and the playoffs are going to be absolutely nuts, and I think there's a very, very real chance that the Warriors and Lakers are going to be the 7 and 8 seed. And for Oklahoma City and Minnesota, who have just been awesome teams this year, very easily to get the 1 and 2 seed.
The most experienced pedigree teams.
May very well be underdogs in the first round of the playoffs, which is absolutely nuts. But it's just kind of the way it is right now.
It's the way the cookie
Good for
crumbles.
all those teams. They're all surging, and I didn't know. This has happened like a few days ago at this point, but we never got a chance to talk about. Speaking of the Lakers, I didn't know if you had anything on the LeBron Bronny tweeting situation. Did you see any of this?
Okay, I feel like I was late on that. Like no. Let me just say no.
So basically, I think it was. I don't know if it was the ESPN mock draft he was responding to or whatever, but ESPN obviously comes out with mock drafts all the time.
Was it the one where LeBron was like, Bronny's better than like?
Well, okay, so that was a few months ago. That was what happened.
Oh, okay.
I guess to go all the way back, yeah.
Oh boy.
There was another tweet. LeBron was tweeting out, like Bronny's better than half the players in the NBA. He could play right now and be like a good role player, blah blah blah. And then there was like the last mock draft. They had Bronny going like 17th to Atlanta, and LeBron tweeted out, he's like, James Gang going to Atlanta, like go Hawks, whatever, blah blah blah. Then the latest mock draft came out. Obviously, Bronny's been struggling in college, whatever, and they had him not in the mock draft, and they had him reclassified so that he would not go out till 2025.
Yeah.
And obviously LeBron immediately tweets out and is like, just let kids be kids. Like, no one gives a shit about a mock draft. Like, stop ripping on this kid who's just a college kid trying to have fun and like play basketball. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like He's
just trying to keep a low profile and play basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you're the only one bringing attention to like this non-story of like these guys who are just paid to do mock drafts and are just reacting to what they see. And again, it's like when they're putting Bronny
so
up
many
there,
players probably have that happen all the time. Like.
And again, it wouldn't even be a story if LeBron didn't put the tweet out about it, which he deleted, by the way, after the fact. So someone at least said something, or he actually got a little self-awareness, and it was just such a cringe like tweet.
Or maybe he meant to send that from his burner.
Maybe that was it. But it was just like so LeBron, and so just him not like either not having the self-awareness or just not caring enough to not like make it completely about him. Where it's like all the stuff he's complaining about with Bronny and the way people treat him, it's like, dude, it's all a result of you and the way you're reacting to this. Again, it's a complete non-story.
We're all trying to figure out who did this.
Yeah, it is. It's a total hot dog soup moment with LeBron, as so many things about him are. But, yeah, just wanted to at least mention that before we get too far removed from it. But yeah, like I said, I got a lot to catch up on tonight, so I think that's pretty much it for now. I don't want to go back too far.
All right. So I did think of one more thing too. Do you think? What do you think of like Celtics fans still like booing Kyrie and shit like that? Forever, booed forever. I think booed forever.
Booed forever. Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with it. Like, I honestly don't like have a huge take on it. I think. Oh boy.
I think Kyrie is a douche.
Well, that's definitely true.
Out the Kyrie is a douche. Shirt.
Right. That is true.
That won't
I agree.
change.
So it's one of those things where it's like I don't disagree with the sentiment, but I also don't like care. I'm happy with I think I said this last time we played Dallas, and it was true again tonight, where it's like it's good that he's kind of just become an afterthought in the matchup.
Yeah.
Like it used to be the first headline, like, oh, Celtics are playing Kyrie. Tonight it was like the fifth thing on the list where it's like, oh yeah, like Kyrie's coming to town too. Like it's almost a non-story, and it's partially that we're just like the better team. Like our guys are just clearly better, and he's just, almost an afterthought on that team. Like he's obviously still good. He scored some points out there, but it seems like he's just out there. He makes some cool plays, but he doesn't do anything that's like contributing to winning the game.
Yeah. He scored under 24.5 points. Tatum scored over
Did he?
26.5 points, and the Celtics scored more than that, I think 117 or something. Either way, Chuddy bar hit tonight.
Scored.
Shout out
hell
anyone
yeah.
who rode with the Chuddy bar. That's what I was getting at.
Love that.
Perfect segue.
Oh, I love it.
Kyrie not
Well,
scoring.
no, I'm one of those things where I think if fans are just like over it and don't care, I'm fine with that. And if fans want to go out there and boo their hearts out, I'm fine with that too. Like,
I think
nothing
it's
wrong with a little
hilarious they
healthy
boo him
sports
every time.
Well, it was one of those things where at first I almost was like, we should be above this and move on. But I think I've heard so much of people now being like annoyed that we're doing it that I'm back to like, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
sports hate is good. It's good to have some villains. It's fine to hold grudges and like
Jaylen after the game.
people who are just like, why are they still mad at him? It's like, because fuck him. Like, what do you mean?
They
I
think
think
about
now
him so much. It's like, no, when you're playing
We
us,
literally don't
we're
think
gonna
about him,
boo
but
you to heaven, to absolute oblivion.
And again, he did his friggin' idiot sage burning again tonight. So he's just talk about another hot dog suit situation,
right?
Where he's like, I don't know why they're so mad at me. It's like, yeah,
burning
okay.
sage, like,
like how many times are you gonna do this? Like, just give it up. But again, he now still winless since the logo stomp game series, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I say boo him forever. Jaylen did say after like they asked him about it, he was just kind of like, he's like, yeah, I mean, he's like, I don't know, like that's fans can do what they want, that's fine. Then he's like honestly, like I think that they should just be booing every star that comes in here. Like when Jokic comes in here, they should boo him. Like, you know, like, so it's kind of a funny response on his part, which I don't hate that either. I would like. That'd be cool if we were just a place that every place your best player just like got booed the entire time. Every time they touched the ball, we just booed the best player on every team every time.
Just
I hope that kind of catches on. Yeah, right. Yeah, just
as soon as the Celtics don't have the ball, just boo.
You're just constantly booing. Yeah,
I would love that.
It would be awesome.
More booing, more animosity towards players, other teams.
Right.
Totally cool with like again. Nothing over the line, but you don't have to. Like, booing is the perfect.
It's hilarious.
Thing to do. Like we talked about the thing in Dallas where the fans calling Durant like a bitch, and it's like, and obviously we had the thing where we threw the water bottle at Kyrie. It's like nobody wants anyone to cross the line, but some good healthy booing is just nothing like just yelling boo as loud as you can.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
someone. Like,
it's good for
sports right there. Yeah,
it's good for the soul.
Anyone who's like offended or triggered by that, it's like grow up. Maybe sports aren't for you.
All right, so we have Warriors. Warriors coming Sunday at 3:30 p.m. matinee game.
ABC game.
I feel like that's like the perfect script to like exactly what I wouldn't want to play the Warriors in a situation like. There's still just that, and you said they've been playing better too. It's definitely one of those games where it's like, you know, at first I kind of was like, I don't know, I thought we'd be all right, but now and it's something this would be a great chance to exit our demons, but. It is just like I feel like Sunday at 3:30. I feel like we always play the Warriors Sunday during the day, and it's just like this is like the final test. I was saying all those like superstitions and things have all like I feel like we've kind of done away with a lot of those. Yeah. Come out ready to play on Sunday against the Warriors and just play a good game. Like it can be like this, a little yo-yo back and forth, but end up winning big.
Take care of business,
and then that's like the last bugaboo, I think. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I do feel like
tell us about the team itself.
No, I think this is one of the actual like big regular season games. Like I think there is a little extra to this one, even though the Warriors, they're 10th place. I think they're like 32-27 right now, but still, there's a little more to it. And we saw, one of the most disappointing losses of the season was out in Golden State. We had a big lead and blew it, and that was one of those games where it did feel kind of like maybe this isn't different, So I think that'll be a good thing to see. Just
game.
Those players, those jerseys into Boston. If we come out and hum through them like we have been with all these other teams, I'll feel pretty damn good about it. If we kind of struggle, hang around, and maybe fail to close them out, and they escape with beating us and sweeping the season series 2-0, I will be a little disappointed again. I mean, it won't be anything in the grand scheme of things, but I think this will be a nice little measuring stick statement game to go out and just stomp them at home. I think would feel really good, and I think it would be kind of meaningful. I mentioned, the Warriors obviously not having a great season, but they've won 3 in a row. They've won 6 out of 7. I think they won 11 out of 13. And like I said, they were under 500 and several games out of the play-in. Since, another guy who gets clowned a lot sometimes on this podcast, Draymond Green, has come back, and suddenly they look like contenders again. And it's not a coincidence.
I saw that he punched a guy in the face last night. Or 2 minutes. He kind of like punched a guy coming down on a rebound. An arid fist.
Well, that was Warriors Wizards, right? So Jordan Poole was in the building. He had to send the message.
Yep. His fists are just dangerous.
Yeah, let him know. But again, Draymond Green, he's kind of a punchline. He's obviously not quite what he once was, but it just goes to show they're a completely different team. When he's on the floor, he changes the map for them, not just on defense, but on offense too, and he kind of allows everything else to work. They've changed so much of their lineup. Klay Thompson coming off the bench now. It was a very tough transition, but he's kind of owned that role. He's had some of his best games of the season lately coming off the bench. They've got Podziemski into that lineup. He got hurt, actually, so I don't know if he'll be playing. But they've had him in the lineup. He's been playing well. They've gotten Moses Moody into the starting lineup. He's been
Wiggins
playing really
is
well.
out for personal reasons, right?
Yeah, he's back out. I don't know what's going on with Wiggins, but he's been a lot better, too, since his really slow start. I don't know if he'll be back. But Jonathan Kuminga's taken over and become arguably their second or third best player. So the Warriors are kind of rounding into gear as things are coming down the stretch here. Not a huge surprise. So I'm excited for this one. Like I said, throw the records out the window. They are playing as well as almost any team in the league, except maybe us. So, like I said, kind of a little bit of a measuring stick game here. And I think one of the last really big ones before the end of the season, obviously, I think we go to Denver too. So that one will be pretty big. But I think we have Oklahoma City at home. So we've got a couple more big games, but I'd say this might be as big as any of them, just again, kind of for all the history and for the way that we've infamously sort of looked our worst against this team, including this season. So again, it'd just be good to go out there, exercise a few demons, show that, hey, we're a different team. The past is the past. And like I said, we come on the pod Sunday night talking about another nice comfortable 25-point win. I'll be feeling pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's I definitely would be. So we'll see. I'm excited for it. Again, it's kind of, we've had sort of this run of games that haven't really had a whole lot of juice to them, so it's going to be good. Hopefully the Garden nice and packed, nice and loud. Good Sunday day crew. We'll be back after that game. So Chuddy, glad you made it safely in your travels. Appreciate the love for the love of the game, getting out there, getting the stream going on all levels. Do you want any comments to Delta any comments to Delta for the Wi-Fi being an issue?
So it's a pain in the ass because I guess my wife has like the Delta Skyline Premium whatever bullshit, but it didn't work because apparently the plane was too old. It was like too outdated of a plane.
Jesus Christ!
So it didn't work. So I was like, "Fuck that!"
Oh my god! Imagine being on an airplane. They're like, "This plane's too old to have Wi-Fi." It's like, whoa! It
didn't instill a ton of confidence in me, but it was all right. So, and I have to say, shout out to ESPN because I landed. The game had not been over for long. I was able to go on to watch ESPN. They had the entire game replay up, and with all the commercials taken out, the entire broadcast. I fast forwarded. It was only like 41 minutes, and they have that little like fast forward 10-second button. So even if there's a whistle or a foul, so I absolutely whizzed through the second half. Yeah, you did
buzz through that
again. Wish I could have listened to Scal and Mike, but Ruco and Ricky Jefferson
they're good tonight.
weren't bad. I think it all came out in the wash. I can't really complain. It's 1:15, like I said. I haven't eaten today, so I'm about to go see what the city of Richmond has to offer for late night dining. Saw Papa John's on the end of the corner, so we could be looking at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shaq owns that now, I think.
Ooh, okay, maybe I won't go
That's the one where the guy...
Yes, that is, yes.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shaq bought it up after that guy. We don't need to get into the Papa John's ordeal.
Yeah. Maybe I'll tweet out my dinner pick after this late night.
Oh, I like that. Dinner on the go. All right, folks.
Yes.
Well, everyone out there in the Chuddyverse, we'll see you on Sunday evening. Take care of yourselves. Chuddy, enjoy Richmond. See everyone later. Take care.
Peace out, Chuddy.